Right, okay, so we've moved on a little bit. The hatch has been made. Again, there was a couple of little small laser cut pieces, and you sort of there's a bottom piece which is smaller than the top piece, which then slips over the hatch entry. I don't know whether I'm going to glue that down or just leave it like that, but there are some details that you can make to put in there, I believe. The other thing that we've done now is, if you see here, these are the bow formers and the sides of the ship, port and starboard. There's another piece to go in at the back here, either side, and of course I've sort of moved on, I've jumped the instructions a little bit, and I've put the first part of the bow on there just to get it stuck in. Not a very easy task. Again, it was made easier with the Crissenden laser cut pieces, but what I'm going to do now is leave that to sort of set for a while, and I'm going to put in the rear stern, is it stern? Formers in. Yep, the stern infills they're called. What's good again about the Crissenden laser cut stuff is that they're pre-scored. Now if you use my normal method, where you use the A4 sticky label and you stuck it onto the cardboard, you'd have cut that out and then had to score it yourself, which in itself isn't a problem, but it is easier if it's all pre-done, which it is. So in this circumstance, that's a great stuff. So I'll come back to you probably when I've got the rest of the sides on, and just before, I guess, we stick the actual what would you call it, actual colour of the boat on the side, the actual planking, I guess it might be, or the external shell anyway. Okay, back to you in a bit, and I'll move on. Right, so something else you might be interested to see is the placement of the hull. This is the stern part of the hull, and again we're using the Crissenden laser cut sheets. Now this is very thin, or perhaps even thick paper really, that we were using for this, but I formed a curve which the instructions ask you to do, and you know, a lot of sort of showing you probably something you already know, teaching you to suck eggs, I think is the phrase, but I'm just forming that curve in there like that, so that when we do come to glue it, it's much easier to do. And by the looks of it, that matches up just perfect. Yeah, well, it will do. It is very tricky, and I must say the stern has been tricky, but we're getting there. Can you see it in this shot? Let's move the ship back a little bit, or the boat back a little bit. These pieces here have been very, very difficult to get to stick. I'm hoping when I come to put the cover layer on that will be stuck. I mean, I've been holding it together for ages, and as I looked, it still come apart. So yeah, it's not without its trickiness, but I tell you what, as I've been saying all the way through this, it is made much easier with these laser cut parts. I know I've mentioned their website a lot, Crissenden, and I have bought all of this myself, so it's it'll be purely up to you if ever you buy this kit to have a look. But Scalescenes kits are brilliant. They are so well designed. I think that's the way to put that. So anyway, I'll leave that there, and I'll come back to you when we're ready to put the cover layers on the outside. Right. Now, as you can see, we've had a slight problem. And this stems from doing two things at once. I cut out the two rear laser cut pieces for the stern, or the bow, whatever it is, and I made a phone call about golf, and I got involved in that, come back, got the two pieces round the wrong way, and subsequently I thought they were a little bit difficult to fit, but I thought, what's going on? Anyway, I managed to sort it out, and I'd got them round the wrong sides, so I managed to pull one off, and the other one was sticking, but that's not quite so bad as this side, but all is not lost, because there is a cover layer which will cover all of that up. So I'll just put that in there. So they're the boat sides. I've just got to cut them out and peel them off, and they'll go over that and cover that mess up. But we have got it all in place, thankfully. And you know, you sit there sometimes and you think, why doesn't that work? Why doesn't it work? And of course it was round the wrong way. So anyway, we've sorted it out now. We're back on track, and although that looks very scrappy, it shouldn't do once that cover layer goes on. Right, okay, so we've cut one of the cover layers out for this side of the port side of the boat, and it's gone on really well. Very pleased with that. That's covered up a lot of sins after the putting a couple of the sides on the wrong way round. Now, in Engage, this is quite tricky, but I'm not sure what these are called actually, the holes on the side of the boat. I guess it's where it releases a lot of the water if you're sailing in rough seas off of the deck. But you have to cut these holes out to match up with the deck. So that was tricky, but I think my finger might show you just how small they are. But again, for those really tricky cuts, just use the scalpel. It does the trick. Take your time. So I'll get on to the next one, and then I'll come back to you once that's done. Now then, I've just cut this other starboard side out, and I'm going to show you how I peel it off and stick it on. This is obviously printed on my A4 sticky label, so I'll come back to you in a minute. I won't bore you, but I've still got to cut these three small holes out, but we'll do that off camera, and then I'll come back to you. Right, okay, so I guess for those of you that are wondering about this, cutting out these little holes, I'll show you just the last one. Hopefully I'll get it right, and I won't be too in your way. So again, with the scalpel, just get that outside edge and just very gently bring that down there. Now, remembering I changed the blade on the scalpel when I started, so it's still extremely sharp, so it should go through there in one hit, but if it doesn't, just do it again. But like I say, it's just taking your time. So I've done that bit there, let's just try and keep that. So all we do then is just get either end of it, pull it out. There we go. That's how that's done. Right, so I'm not quite sure how much of this you'll see, but what we're going to do, we're going to get the backing off of this. it may take a minute or two. Sometimes it goes straight away and sometimes it doesn't. It depends how boss-eyed I go. Just get the scalpel in there and then it just ease that away. And what I've done on the other side is just pulled some of it off so that we can get in there to start it off. In fact, I've gone the wrong end there. I like starting at the other end. It's got little bits everywhere now which I hadn't taken off of there. Get out. Now, some people have asked me in the past using the sticky label method, they're worried that it comes unstuck. Well, so far, the models that I've used using the A4 sticky labels, they haven't. And what I do afterwards, I think in the instructions it recommends that you give it a spray with like a matte varnish. Well, I usually do that at the end, which helps stop the colour fading on them if they're in any kind of sunlight, and obviously protects the model. It's not a bad idea to spray the sheets before you start as well, so there we go. Pull that back a little bit. So, just out a screenshot of the second. So if I come back in there, I'm just going to get that bit, I don't know whether you can see there. Oh, there we go. I get that bit lined up there. And then we go from there. Just pull a bit of the backing paper back a bit further. Getting the holes lined up. But I would imagine if you're building this in 00 gauge, this is going to be easier because there's a whole lot more that you can get hold of. There we go. Let's get that in there like that. And there we go. That's hidden up all of those bits and pieces. And we've got something that's starting to look like a boat or a fishing boat. So I hope this isn't boring you, but this is just to make, by way of a change, I haven't seen that many people showing you how they build a model or a Scalescenes kit. And I just thought I'd take the opportunity, especially now that I've had the laser cut stuff from that Christendon. It is easier. It is easier, definitely. But but what amazes me, and you have to be reasonably accurate when you build these kits. But like I say, these have all lined up absolutely spot on. So that's testament to I think it's John Whiffen that produces the Scalescenes kits. But that is really good, and I'm very pleased how that's come out. So I'll come back to you in a while once I get to the next bit, but I'm probably going to give my eyes a break for a little while, so come back to you shortly. Right, okay, so we're on this, we're just putting these bullock stays in, and a little bit of a boring task, but it's got to be done. And again, really helped out in so much as the fact that they have all been laser cut, otherwise I'd have had to cut them all by hand. So massive time saving exercise there. I'll come back to you after I've done this, because these have got to, I probably won't do any more to it until this evening because they've got to dry off, and I've got to cut them down to the top of the sides of the ship, so that'll be an interesting task. Okay, so I'll come back to you later.